ladies and gentlemen, Master Splinter is at it again, as not only is Pee Wee Roscoe on the list, Gunna, Migos, Pierre P. Thomas, YSL Woody. I mean, this list goes deep. What size 7 say? I can go further. I promise.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
And last but definitely not least, Lil Durk and Kendrick Lamar himself.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just know that as far as the diss track closing arguments by Young Thug, Fonnie Willis was essentially in the courtroom saying to herself,
Talk with her and what else?
He's been so good today. He really has. You have been the perfect gentleman.
Young Thug is currently being the perfect gentleman for Fonnie Willis. And you're probably thinking to yourself,
I know that ain't who I think it is.
why are you saying Fonnie Willis is appreciating Young Thug at this very moment? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to the diss track in a second, but there's a lot of other details that make this more poignant as far as the highlight of illegal activity. Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
Here is the problem, as when it comes to Young Thug, if you don't know, this man is currently under a specific thing called a plea deal. Now, what does that mean? You might ask, right? I'm no expert lawyer, right? But some would say that as far as looking at his plea deal, based on the YSL RICO, mind you, which is why he's even in the free land being able to do what he wants. Essentially, the plea deal has a lot of interesting lines, such as restrictions ban contact with YSL affiliates or co-defendants, right? Except for Gunna and his brother due to contractual reasons, right? But then it seems like Woody, Yak Gotti don't really quantify what the probation line was saying he should avoid. And if you don't believe me,
Gunna wreck, Yak wreck, Slugger wreck, Woody wreck. Fuck that nigga Obama, he still mad by baby mama.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
you know, as a law-abiding citizen, it's very intriguing to see people who break the law fall into the same mousetrap. Now, isn't that a crazy coinky dink?
You guys. See, that's the problem.
At the end of the day, that's only one of the reasons I'm saying that this is a huge deal, regardless of how it came out. Because, of course, people are going to say, oh, it was a leak. There's no way Fonnie Willis could cook something up to put Young Thug back in prison for a whopping 20 years. Because if you don't know, if he violates his probation, there's a 20-year backloaded sentence. Now, as far as the war, as far as the war in Atlanta, which a lot of people is calling it, I don't understand how 20-year backloaded sentence doesn't take you away from acting out as far as looking at the time you could possibly serve. Because if I'm looking at it correctly, right, if you're doing certain actions in this diss track, which I think is fire, by the way, like, you know what I mean? Don't stop me as a law-abiding citizen. I am loving the circus. But at the end of the day, somebody has to call this out. Because if you're really looking at it from an actual fan perspective, then you're probably understanding that Young Thug is risking a 20-year backloaded sentence just so people don't call him a rat.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
And it's very interesting as he also has an interview with Aiden coming out soon. But besides that, let's put that to the side, because right now we're specifically focusing on the diss track titled Closing Arguments. Ladies and gentlemen, Fonnie Willis may actually use this track in her closing arguments.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
Anyways, exhibit number 2. Isn't that how they say it in court? Anyways, there's another line in the plea deal, right? It says the deal mandates Young Thug to refrain from advocating, glorifying, or promoting gang-related activity. Hold up, man, I was talking.
I'd rather keep on spinning. If you kill one of my dogs, shit, I'd rather never end it.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
You know, sometimes covering the sport of hip hop, I look at the entire landscape because I cover the entire landscape of music. And I just realized, you know, other genres, I don't know if I just haven't dived deep into certain genres, but it just seems like the IQ and the wherewithal to not break the law when you're making millions of dollars off music it's just not there.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
So anyways, as far as the deal, before I was rudely interrupted by Jeffrey, the deal mandates that Young Thug refrains from advocating, glorifying, or promoting gang-related activity.
Niggas, it only cost 300 bands.
Hold on, he said what?
Fucking bitch. If you want a nigga twin, they would've tried to squish your kids.
Okay.
Pussy.
Okay. I don't know how that would like take away from the probation line. Like, there's nothing really in this song that I think could really end him up
I
in.
ain't trying to find no party spot. I'd rather keep on spinning. If you kill one of my dogs, shit, I'd rather never end it. Nigga, get your homie touched and it won't cost me JC Penney's.
Not gonna lie, that is a fantastic line. But guess who also thinks it's a fantastic line, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, you don't want to talk to me, man, and you feel more comfortable talking with her?
He's been so good
Okay.
today. He really has. You have been a perfect gentleman.
This diss track from Young Thug titled Closing Arguments is proving how much of a gentleman Young Thug is. He literally handcrafted the perfect argument for Fonnie Willis to put him back in prison. And I never advocate for black men to be put in prison, but we did talk about all the way back, when did I cover this? As far as him being released, right? When Young Thug was released off of the YSL RICO and he came out with Business is Business, we talked about how there were certain things he couldn't talk about. So he was rapping about his luxurious lifestyle, staying away from the gang activity and alluding to any whacking or slime or taking people out. And it just so happens that the war in Ratlanta was all it took for this man to revert back to his old ways, which is very much a shame, right? So now, diving into the actual diss track, you're probably wondering to yourself, why in the world would he co-sign this? Well, of course, they are basically releasing this under the form of a leak. So technically, if they go to court for this, that's going to be the argument. I don't think it's a great one, but hey, we thought the YSL RICO counter argument from YSL and Brian Steele wasn't the greatest, and he still got off. So you never know how that goes. But 2015, just know that Gunna met Young Thug, and that's when it all happened. Because of course, as far as this specific episode, I just wanted to let y'all know that the war in Ratlanta is going to go down in the history books for an indefinite amount of time. Because from a 2015 to 2025 buildup, this is almost a Drake and Kendrick type of buildup, as far as a decade worth of animosity, and now is bled over into spilling out into the masses to see what Young Thug was feeling towards people. I mean, he was saying all type of things. I mean, at one point on one of the phone calls, he told his manager or whoever that Kendrick Lamar is too sexy to not be posting on Instagram. Now, this is the amount of information that we have that we know that Young Thug is saying this on a phone call.
You guys, see, that's the problem.
Now, there's nothing wrong with a phone call, but the main thing was the interrogation back in 2015 that basically had Pee Wee Roscoe in the crossfires as far as the Lil Wayne bus shooting, right? So there's a lot of things that goes into this diss track that's going to make it iconic. I believe the diss track as a song is fire. I like when people put their personal experiences into the music, but you have to keep in mind when you are not a law-abiding citizen and now there's restrictions to your musical offering, you cannot go around that by saying it's a leak. But to be fair, Fonnie Willis and them, they've been leaking a lot of information as far as different phone calls and things of that nature. At first, I thought it was Gunna's camp, and then, of course, now we come to realize that it really doesn't make any sense for Gunna to expose himself for having fake streams, right? As far as exposing Young Thug, that's one thing. But if you're going to expose Young Thug for exposing you for having a fraudulent #1, as far as you versus The Weeknd, all the way back in, what was it, 2023, 2022, I forget. But when DS Forever came out, and The Weeknd's Dawn FM came out. And surprisingly, one of the biggest upsets in hip hop history that we now have figured out is fraudulent, which is insanity, right? Same thing that Drake was talking about with the red button, but that's neither here nor there, right? Fraudulent streams ended up getting Gunna the #1 spot over The Weeknd. And safe to say, Young Thug coming out saying he spent $50,000 for him to get that #1 just is a huge blemish on the entire music industry.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at that.
So at the end of the day, when looking at this diss track, there's no lyrics up because, of course, I work around the clock 24/7 because, somebody got to love their job, right? So I don't know what people who usually run the lyric websites are doing, but they just not up to snuff. So on NME Plus, for my NME Plus subscribers, we're going to be breaking down the song line by line because it's not out on DSPs. It's a leak. So technically, it's not put out by any major label. We could cover it and things of that nature. So, if Young Thug goes the route of calling this AI, I think that would be the best argument. And hear me out. AI has evolved so much that would be an actual argument that you could use if, actually, it's a stretch. But hey, Brian still cooked up better than that and got Thug and had Thug walk away free. So this is definitely escalating the rift in the Atlanta rap community because, of course, the war in Atlanta is a phenomenal name, by the way. And essentially speaking, the Atlanta rap scene is being ruined as we speak. I think the only thing that could counteract this is Future or 21 Savage dropping a project or saying where they stand on the matter. Atlanta used to be perceived as the most camaraderie type of rap scene in the world, which is why they was blowing up, right? Young Thug, 21 Savage, Baby, Future, they had hits from all over Atlanta as far as superstars in the rap game. But now, I don't think it's only because of Young Thug. There was a lot of other things that went along with it. As far as Metro Boomin and the whole thing that he started with Kendrick. Some Atlanta rappers, I'm not going to say who, right? And I'm just going to say my sources or I made it up. Some Atlanta rappers wasn't really messing with the fact that they let Kendrick say all of that about the big three for no reason. Because really, if you look back then, there was really no reason. Drake didn't call out Whitney yet. They were just trying to get him on first-person shooter. Kendrick jumped out the window, said, I hate all y'all. There's no big three. There's just big me, right? And to do that on a song with Future and Metro on it, when Future is arguably the most influential hip-hop artist in the past 20 years, a lot of Atlanta artists had a problem with Kendrick saying that on a track with Future and Metro. If you're not following me, then you're just going to be lost. I'm not going to spell it out. There's certain superstars in Atlanta who do not think that move was the greatest. So anyways, with that being said, Young Thug is essentially going to follow up this alleged diss track via an interview with Aiden Ross, I believe Sunday, so September 7th. We'll see if that ends up going into fruition because this diss track, even though they're saying it's a leak, this is going to cause a lot of turmoil to the point where Brian Steele may go bald by the end of 2025. There's only because this month, so there's September, October, November, December. There's only 4 months left in the year. By the end of the year, I kid you not, Brian Steele may lose all of his hair because of what Young Thug is putting him through. The things that Young Thug's been saying, the things that he's been tweeting and deleting, he's been crossing the line. He's been really tiptoeing. But the one time he did cross the line is when he had a tweet and delete. I forget what it was. But Young Thug basically came out and essentially, I forget exactly what the tweet was. I don't know if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah. So right here. So Young Thug, back in November 2024, deleted his tweet dissing Gunna. Stop acting like we friends. He tweeted that out. Stop acting like we friends, and then deleted it. Why do you think he deleted it? You think somebody got in his ear and probably told him, hey, you have 20 years on the back end, my brother. Do you want to really violate your probation just over a petty beef? I guess so.
But then, I was like, damn, look at the state of hip-hop. Like, what's going on?
And then, of course, when people was advocating for Gunna, saying it was all part of the plan, and then Young Thug came out and named Gunna in Little Baby track, says he's only worked with him for Troop. Gunna responds in Prototype, calling tweet a typo, basically insinuating that the November 2024 tweet was really from Thug and it wasn't like no hack that he tried to prove, like, because there's a lot of things he's doing to get around the plea deal. He can't really elocute like he would like, so he does these roundabout ways of getting his message out there, which is still breaking the law. Right? But with Young Thug's power in the hip-hop game, some would say that he could get away with it. We just seen what happened with Diddy as far as him and what he's gonna get as far as a lighter sentence because he beat the racketeering charges, right? And he was he was guilty for the transportation for a prostitution charge or something like that. Anyways, he was found innocent for the racketeering charges, which would have held like life. So with Young Thug, he got off on similar charges. I think he did have to say YSL was a gang, but nonetheless, a huge plea deal was given to him for him to be in the free world. And despite of that, he still is risking the 20-year backloaded sentence because of the plea deal, right? So it's very interesting. At the end of the day, I don't like getting into just, oh, did he snitch? Did he not? But this is attached to music. So guess what? We're going to cover music. I mean, some would say we may have a...
It's time for a rap battle!
Hey, hold up now. Who in the world? Hey, go over there. What? Who's over here saying something like that? Ain't nobody like...
It's time for a rap battle!
I don't think Gunna's going to respond. And for people who's wanting a rap battle, I do believe at the end of the day, Gunna and Young Thug could have one of the greatest hip hop rap battles from a Sonic's perspective, right? Sonically, it could be pleasing because I'm not gonna lie to you, this alleged leak from Young Thug as far as closing arguments is straight fire. And as far as him leaking this and basically copying how Fonnie Willis' team has been leaking information to showcase how Young Thug is out here basically talking about everybody and their mama, one of my favorite groups of all time literally had a skit on this. And I thought this was perfect timing because, of course, who else would be able to capture this type of energy except for these people? Because when it comes to this, I think a lot of people was letting the fact that maybe the government is messing with Young Thug, they was sweeping that under the rug. And I think it needed to be called out. And of course, y'all know I'm a huge RDC fan. And safe to say, our worlds are intertwining once again as they are right here breaking down how the government is literally leaking the Young Thug calls to make him look bad. So here we go right here. Shout out to RDC. Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio.
Buddy talking about Iceman. Ain't nobody waiting for no Iceman to drop. They waiting for the spider. Shit, fuck around and call that whole spider.
First off, the way he's like fast talking, if you listen to Young Thug calls, I don't know how in the world this man be talking that fast. I'm like, he has all the time in the world, no pun intended, and he's speaking at two times speed. Like I'm thinking to myself, come on, man, like what in the world?
You guys, see, that's the problem.
This man definitely has the most fluent speech for somebody who mumble raps. But anyways, with that being said, let's get back into it.
Buddy talking about Iceman. Ain't nobody waiting for no Iceman to drop. They waiting for the spider. Shit, fuck around and call that whole Spider-Man.
You tell me that's not going platinum first week if we drop?
See?
That's not touching 100K first week, bro.
That's not touching 100K?
No.
A Drake this?
Bro, everybody coming at Drake, bro. No,
Exactly.
they
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, shit, I got him talking shit about Beyonce.
Now, hold on, let me look at this list. I ain't really look at the list like that. There's a Michael Jackson diss, RDC diss. Oh, that's funny. Lil Baby, the 7th. Yo, come on.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Kai Cenat diss, Chris Brown diss, Outkast, Beyonce diss. I ain't gonna lie, that Kai Cenat one, Drake may cook that up himself, but that's a whole nother discussion.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
All right, let's keep going. What y'all think the Tyler Perry diss would be about? Probably be like Soulja Boy in that Breakfast Club. You know what I'm saying? Stole my whole swag, bar for bar, flow for flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Outkast, Chris Brown.
Let me hear the Chris Brown one.
CB need to worry about Genuine, cause that's the discussion they having. They talking about CB or Genuine. Which one y'all picking? CB or Genuine? I got Genuine personally.
Chris Brown and Genuine.
Nah, you got the speech patterns down and everything. This is crazy.
That's what niggas talking about.
I really don't know. I don't think so, though.
But that could go gold in the streets, though. That sounds
random as fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
It's random.
Hey, bookmark that.
Oh, Tupac.
That nigga did Tupac?
Tupac.
Play that.
So see, what niggas not understanding is that Tupac shit was fake. He just an actor. He wasn't really with the gangster shit. He was just bald headed.
Man, that nigga just saying shit.
Nah, okay. I get the point, right? I'm gonna finish this out. There's only like 33 seconds left.
Bro, nigga, everything Tupac talking about was being a thug. What you mean?
Ooh, I got one that's gonna go diamond.
Man, shut up. Come on.
I got one that's gonna go
Niggas can't just say they gonna go diamond. What you mean?
Yes, I'm not here to make jokes, Mark.
I ain't gonna say nothing too much. I ain't gonna say too
Everybody can name a Michael Jackson song, but who Michael Jackson put on?
No, wait. Jump that right now.
You can't name one person Michael Jackson put on. Who, goddamn Chris Tucker? Come on now. Ain't nobody watching no Chris Tucker no more. That was back in the days, Rush Hour. That's the last time we seen Chris Tucker. I'm telling you right now, the Jackson 5, nobody checking for the Jackson 5. They checking for the Atlanta 3. Me, Wham, and Savage.
I love the callback to the other one talking about when people from dangerous cities, but they sound sweet or whatever, the king of pop stuff. Anyways, I told you I'm a real RDC fan. Anyways, with that being said, that's the main thing I wanted to end with because, ladies and gentlemen, people think it's a joke. Whole time, government trying to have Young Thug locked up for 20 plus years. So safe to say when it comes to this Ratlanta mantra and him being perceived as a rat At the end of the day, all I want to ask Young Thug, I want to ask Jeffrey. Hold on, what's his man real name? Young Thug, real name. I want to ask Jeffrey Lamar Williams II. Is being called a rat really worth it to risk 20 years on a back-end sentence?
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Young Thug's latest diss track to Gunna and a plethora of other people titled Closing Arguments? And do you think at the end of the day, Young Thug did all that snitching just to snitch on himself and finish his career in the end?
You know they
have that one.
You know they haven't since 6 o'clock and I haven't ate.
You want some food?
You want some food?
They still ain't giving
Do
me.
you want some food? Okay, we'll get you some food.
I told them.
Yo, you can't make this stuff up. Hold on. This is my favorite right here. This is my favorite.
Understand it?
Yeah.
Not your attorney.
I'm gonna be able to.
Feel more comfortable talking with her?
And well, I'm just
He's
saying
been
she been with me all day.
so good
Okay.
today. He really has. You have been a perfect gentleman.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you I've been having a ball dissecting this 2-hour audio clip like a kilo of Miley Cyrus, I was sitting back thinking to myself,
You guys. See, that's the problem.
see, if you're going to allegedly break the law, then when it comes to in a 2-hour interrogation clip that you know could surface at any moment, because this was back in 2015, right? For the alleged shooting of Lil Wayne's tour bus, which I've talked about a lot, but you know, I guess people don't really care about people committing crimes unless it's somebody they don't like, right? So anyways, all jokes aside, I don't really care too much for the snitching allegation, which is why I didn't cover it at all. I am a Hall of Fame pocket watcher, and ladies and gentlemen, after I heard this clip, I knew we was about to have a ball.
And honestly, earned a #1 album over the weekend, my boy. I paid for that shit.
You what? Hold up now. Don't tell me you said what?
Never said that to him. I never told him that. You know, 'cause we just got the plug on that. Like,
What type of plug you talking about, my boy?
you never earned a #1 album. I spent 50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams.
50 what?
Buying streams for you to be weak. Like, and Cash know the same plug, so Cash could have did the same thing. But Cash like let it go. Cash just like spat down, like, man, let the nigga on the way, and I ain't stunning shit.
That is insanity. Ladies and gentlemen, he said he paid $50,000 for Gunna to get a #1. Now, of course, I talked about this when it initially happened, because I was like, no way in the world is Gunna outselling The Weeknd. But he ultimately did, and I think that's one of the biggest upsets in music history as far as when Gunna went #1 with, what was it called? Drip something forever? I think it was DS Forever. Let me see. It was the one with Drake on it. Obviously, you already know what Drake does as far as sales. I'm not saying that Drake helped out because, of course, you already know how he feels about bots. I mean, just ask Size 7 fans. So as far as DS Forever, right? That came out 2022. As far as let me see. As far as The Weeknd had an album that came out around that same time. I think it was Dawn FM. Let me see. Dawn FM. Okay, that came out also around the same time. Because the main thing I was wanting to look at, yeah, okay. So both of them came out around 2022. Now, the main thing I was wanting to look at was the first week sales of that. Because if he said he spent $50,000, I wonder what $50,000 gets you in first week sales. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look that up right now, shall we? So, as far as Hall of Fame pocket watching, just know that's what this entire segment is about. Because we're going to get into Lil Baby's deal in a second. Funny enough, this is all coming from Young Thug that says he does not snitch. And whole time, he must have not thought that the police was listening to his phone call so they could release it to the public. Because, you know, as far as him making a mockery out of Fonnie Willis and her prosecutors, safe to say they was going to get their get back. You know, they was going to be, pun intended, spinning the block as far as trying to get Young Thug after he made a mockery out of them, you know, via Brian Still. So as far as the actual breakdown of DS Forever by Gunna, of course, and Dawn FM by The Weeknd, is very peculiar once you hear Young Thug say he spent 50,000 for his album to go number one, because if you look at it, it starts to make a lot more sense. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to album sales by Don FM, it tracked, as far as the first week sales, 14,000 actual album sales. And then for Gunna, DS Forever, it was 4,700, so 4,700. But where it gets interesting is the total units as far as first week sales. DS Forever sold 150,000 for first week, and Don FM by the weekend sold 148,000 first week. So you're probably thinking, what is the difference between Young Thug paying 50,000? How did he ultimately surpass the weekend if the weekend basically more than doubled his album sales and actual units when it comes to the physical purchase, right? Well, if you look at the streaming equivalent units, Gunna DS Forever did 144,000, which is 193.5 million on-demand streams. The Weeknd album Don FM did 131,000, which is approximately 173.04 million on-demand streams. So safe to say that 50,000 came in the form of him having more on-demand streams, because guess what? Young Thug said himself that he paid for it.
Back down, like a player. You know, but he did a little deal. He got some little signs, a little nigga from his hood, whatever. Did the same shit, but he did a deal where he took their money. So these niggas, some young niggas too. These niggas like 17, 18, like real kids, baby. The oldest one of them probably be 18. The oldest one, no, probably about 20. The oldest one probably be 20. It's like 5 of them. They probably like 16 to 20.
And what's so funny is Young Thug really does not do any interviews, so to have this amount of audio footage leaked is insane.
Atlanta ain't heard of them. They done did like 3-4 shows in the city.
So anyways, I'm trying to have him talk about the 50,000 again.
Pay for that shit. I need the money, whatever you want. Just on some we brother shit. Like nigga, I know you can't go nowhere in this world and get no $20 million check from no label. You're not doing numbers like that. You alright, but you ain't doing that like that. You know, like the number one album you just had right now. I paid for you to have a number one album. You didn't.
So he's talking about Gunna's DS Forever when battling the Weeknd Don FM. I just read off the numbers, and this is Young Thug talking about how that happened.
You didn't. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, earn a number one album over the weekend, my boy. I paid for that shit.
How much you pay for it?
I never said that to him. I never told him that. You know, cause we just got the plug on that.
No, but how much you pay for it though?
You never earned a number one album. I spent 50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams.
Not 50 extra.
Buying streams for you. For you to be weak. Right. And Cash know the same plug, so Cash could have did the same thing.
Dang, he said somebody else knew the same plug. I wonder who that plug is. I bet you UMG just knows that Aubrey Karen Graham is going to put that in his next lawsuit. Ladies and gentlemen.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip-hop. Like, what's going on?
Sad day in history when at the end of the day, Drake's whole lawsuit is about the inflation of numbers. And here is Young Thug speaking on certain people that they know that, you know, for some reason, you send some money and they rise up on the charts. I wonder what other rappers are doing that. But, you know, all jokes aside, I'm going to be honest for a second. As far as impacting the masses, right? And a lot of different artists in the game know this, but a lot of people don't as far as on the outside. Every company, whether it's Apple, McDonald's, Disney, they have a marketing budget. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you already have people who support you and now you have a marketing budget, what do you think is going to happen, right? Marketing budget could entail a lot of things, and that's where I'm going to leave it at. Because as far as being taken seriously, for some people, a marketing budget is necessary. For the ones who don't want to succeed, it's not necessary. So do with that information what you will. Anyways, with that being said, Young Thug said he paid $50,000 for fake streams. I thought that was insanity, right? And as a Hall of Fame pocket watcher, after hearing, because I listened to all of these interviews, because of course, Young Thug doesn't do interviews. So with these clips, these audio clips, and it being leaked, I wonder who leaks it, right? I could probably guess who leaked it, probably Gunna's camp. But as far as Young Thug and what he's getting at, he's basically telling on himself, but also revealing a lot of things that we did not know we speculated on, especially when we talked about the Migos and Lil Baby beef. We kind of speculated on Migos being upset that Lil Baby is the newest golden boy in QC as far as him being able to drop whenever he wants to, and Migos not really doing the numbers of Lil Baby, which to this day, no matter how successful Migos was, they definitely laid the foundation for a future QC artist. Lil Baby, objectively speaking, is the most profitable artist QC's ever had, and they had Amigos for quite some time. If you really wanted to look at it, before we get into this clip, Quality Control Music is what I'm speaking on. Their artists, Lil Baby, Migos, Lil Yachty, City Girls are the top of that. As far as revenue earned, they are the top. More specifically, Lil Baby estimated to have around 100 to 150 value for QC as far as Quality Control. Migos was set to have around 70 to 100. So it's not like night and day as far as Lil Baby and Migos, but there's a significant gap to where now the animosity starts to be build up between the Migos and Lil Baby, and then the whole Offset and Lil Baby thing happens, right? Lil Yachty is estimated to have around 20 to 25 million as far as value for Quality Control. And then the City Girls, they was actually set to have around 10 to 15 million. So they was actually pretty valuable as far as for QC. I know people like to make their jokes, but they was actually really valuable for Quality Control. And if you don't believe me, as of right now, you can literally look up the deal between QC back in February 2023, where QC was literally sold to a South Korean music giant, Hybe, and the deal reported around $300 million. Now, ladies and gentlemen, where do you think that money was coming from?
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
So Coach P cashed out. Hybe paid $250 million in cash plus $50 million in stock to P and Coach K, who retained control. This sale elevated QC's global reach, backed by Hybe's worldwide infrastructure and Scooter Braun's leadership, which is why my coverage about Lil Baby, I tell you, I love pocket watching. My coverage about Lil Baby, as far as his album, I talk about how it actually performed better than a lot of people thought it would have. Because if you look at Wham, that came out this year, it's one of the best performing hip hop albums as far as first week sales. Now, as far as overall, I already said Drake, Kendrick, Big X the Plug. As far as actual longevity on the charts, those are the three artists in hip hop. So that's out the way. Looking at the first week sales, Playboy Cardi is obviously number one. I've already went over it before, especially, shameless plug to my Gunna breakdown. Just look up Gunna. I talk about the whole industry not too long ago. What was it, August 30th of this year? Yeah. Talk about Gunna. I label it Gunna, aka the biggest gangster in ATL, sells 81,000 first week. I basically use that to go over the whole hip hop industry. But when it came to Lil Baby, a lot of people forget that he sold 100+ K his first week. So Lil Baby's still a big dog unequivocally. But of course, the people backing him as far as Hybe that just spent $300 million, if this is your cash cow, if this is the LeBron of your franchise, guess what? You don't want him to flop at all, because what does that say for the rest of your artists, right? So the main thing I wanted to get into was this clip, because of Young Thug's talking about this deal behind the scenes, safe to say that he knows the actual numbers. So if he's saying actual numbers as far as Lil Baby's deal, then we can basically estimate that when that deal went down, Lil Baby accounted for over half, well, approximately half of that deal going through, as far as $300 million going to Coach K and P.
Do you think he's gonna give you 75 to 100 million on that deal? Be all the way real. Hey, I talked to him on the phone. I said, "What you think he gonna give you out that money?" I said, "You think he gonna give you 75 million or 100 million?"
This man, Young Thug, loves snitching. He do it for the game. You know what I'm saying? He trying to be like Bird and Magic. Y'all, my fault. Let's get back into it.
He like, shit. I'm like, be all the way real. Do you think he gonna give you 75 to 100 million on that deal? Be all the way real. He like, hell no, I don't think that nigga gonna do it right like that. But Scooter Braun offered Wham 150 million. Scooter Braun told Wham, I want to buy your rights. So I'm gonna give you 150 million. Wham tell this nigga, nah, I'm cool. I gotta bring Pete to me. Man, that nigga went straight around Wham and called Pete. And
you know what that reminds me of? I thought he was back in the interrogation room.
We'll talk with her.
He's been so good today. He really has. You have been a perfect gentleman.
That's how the internet is reacting to all these audio clips. Like, hold on now, he's been such a great gentleman. He's telling us the whole music game. Ain't that about a, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that about a...
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
If you're wondering, I just dropped my phone, but it was my other phone, so it's cool. I ain't flexing. I'm just letting y'all know what it is. With that, let's get back into it.
The whole label from P. The whole conversation started from Scooter Braun trying to buy Lil Wham, trying to buy him out of the deal too. He wants to buy Wham out of the deal. Like,
For how much though?
Well, like shit, you gotta talk to P.
I gotta talk to P?
You gotta talk to P about that.
Nah, bro, tell me how much you was gonna make.
P crossed that nigga at red hot, worst way. I'm on the phone with Wham, he just like, man, the nigga Scooter Braun try to have the same deal with me, the same meeting with me. I tell that nigga, I ain't really doing that without P, you know, I'm just solid.
What?
Man, P go take the meeting without Wham. And get the business done.
Dang.
Of course, a nigga get the business done for $300-400 million for sure, but
300-400. Hold up now. Did he just say the number, ladies and gentlemen? That is insane. At the end of the day, when we're looking at this as a Hall of Fame pocket watcher, I'm not gonna lie to you. Little Baby being worth this much, and then the perception of the internet saying that he fell off. If that's falling off, I want to fall off tomorrow.
But then, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, look at the state of hip hop. Like, what's going on?
If falling off is being one of the most profitable artists from the same label that had the Migos, we're talking about legendary Migos run, and you still the most profitable on that label, and people on the internet saying you fell off, that's why people time and time again say that the internet is not a real place. Anyways, the main thing I wanted to get into was exactly that. I wanted to break down the overall evaluation of QC because I'm a Hall of Fame pocket watcher, and the deal between the South Korean music group HYBE, you know, led by Scooter Braun, and of course them buying QC for around 300 million. Like Young Thug just said, it was 300 to 400 million. So now, as far as a bunch of reports coming out, which I talked about in the past, of it being around 300 million, now we get another confirmation from somebody who's in the game. That's why a lot of these audio leaks is so valuable, because Young Thug doesn't do interviews, yet he's one of the more prominent artists in hip-hop history, right? So getting back into the snitching stuff, because, you know, that's basically enough for my pocket watcher segment. The main thing I want to say about this whole crazy debacle that's basically a circus on if he snitched, did he snitch, like all of the clips from the 2-hour video. I mean, it's hilarious, right? I mean, come on now, hold up.
Really has. You have been.
He's been
so good
Okay.
today. He really has. You have been a perfect gentleman. Well, you have.
See, look at this. So, anyways, as far as all that and all that hoopla, that's how I quantify all of this. This is how I describe it. Because who in the world wakes up from the 9 to 5 and says, man, I wonder if Young Thug snitched today? Like, come on, man.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
Like, it's really not that serious. Let's get to the business side of things. That's why I wanted to break down the Lil Baby stuff, because that's a huge lucrative deal that went down. And those take years to basically construct and break down how much you're going to get out of a $300 to $400 million deal. So anyways, that was the most exciting part for me. But let's get back to what people like, the negativity, right? People could care less about making money. Let's get back to if Young Thug snitched or not. So the funniest thing about the snitching allegations and what I would say about it is when 21 Savage, who seems like the most solid person out of the group of gangster rappers, right? I say gangster with quotation marks because in 2025, boy, I mean, if you ain't seen enough information on what ends up happening if you stick to the streets being a rapper, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if Lil Durk didn't tell you, if Young Thug didn't tell you, if Boosie didn't tell you, oh, y'all didn't hear about Boosie? Hold up, let me see. Boosie arrested. So 5 days ago, Boosie officially pleads guilty to federal gun charge. What does that mean? Let's see what that means right now. Boosie is pleaded guilty for federal gun charges, right? And ultimately, he was taken to court. And I'm trying to see what is the sentence. Let me see what is okay. Pleads guilty for okay, yeah, this is what I was looking for. So Boosie is scheduled for sentencing on November 21st. Per his plea agreement, the government is asking for a 24-month prison sentence, though the decision will ultimately be up to the judge. They do say that the maximum sentence for the charge is up to 15 years.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
Now, of course, if the government is asking for a 24-month prison sentence, I would say 15 years is a lot, right? So basically what they're saying, like 15 years is what Boosie's looking at. Just the 15 is going to run with the headlines because nobody likes to read the details, right? So people are going to just look at that and just think like, oh, the streets is over, which it is. Lil Durk's going to be locked away for life. Boosie, we don't know how much time he's going to get. A lot of other rappers that, I just don't want to make this morbid, so I'm not going to say their name, but, them passing away due to unfortunate events showcases how if you're a street rapper, safe to say there's only two outcomes, right? And the glorification of street rappers is what makes this so intriguing to the youth to come up and repeat the same pathway of either in prison or passed away, right? AKA killed. So 21 being the voice of reason, talking about this whole snitch debacle because Young Thug wants to go at Gunna 24/7. He basically brought up how Young Thug's brother is a snitch. He's like, hold up now. You're not really keeping it P all the way across the board because didn't your brother snitch?
Yeah.
I don't know though. Like, man, bro, you seen your brother P?
Oh, hold on now. See, that's why I love, pause with the love.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
This is why I like when people with logical minds come into the fray while speaking to gangster people. Because gangster people will have you thinking you supposed to kill 12 people, and then when you get booked for it, you supposed to sit down for all them years, as far as 50 plus years, time and time again, because they're not going to run it consecutively, right? So at the end of the day, they make you seem like if you catch all them bodies and you saw me do it, you're supposed to sit in there with the same amount of time as me, because guess what? That's keeping it gangster.
But then, I was like, damn, look at the state of hip-hop. Like, what's going on?
So 21 Savage is like, hold up now. You mad at Young Thug? You mad at Gunna, but didn't your brother do the same thing?
Man, bro, you seen your brother P?
Most definitely.
I love the silence after that. 21 Savage like, hold up. It's like, am I talking? Hold on. This Young Thug, right? This Young Thug on the other side of the phone. Yo, you see your brother plea? Oh, just silence, huh? He don't want to respond to that, huh?
Bro, you seen your brother P?
Most definitely.
Silence.
But he said you told him to do that.
21 Savage really. What the little girls be saying? Clocking that T. Only reason I know that because my sister going to college. They be saying clocking that T. You know what I'm saying? Clocking that T. You know what I mean?
Man, watch out.
Look, he's like, hey, bro, come on, man. We ain't coming with all that logic, bro. We gangster rappers, you know what I mean? What Rollo say to academics, bro, you using too many big words, bro. You got to dumb that down.
Man, oh God, that's what he telling the street.
Man, oh God, he kept. On that same God, he kept. Man, he coming to nigga.
Got him stumbling and everything. Young Thug don't even know how to address that. So his brother snitched. Brother came out and said, oh yeah, Young Thug told me to do it. As you can hear on the call, obviously Young Thug said that's cap.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
So that's how I feel about the whole gangster situation. I believe everything about the gangster rap persona and the ecosystem is fraudulent. That's how I feel. So when it comes to that, I don't want to stay on my soapbox because y'all already know how I feel about gangster rappers in general. There's a reason why my favorite rappers are like Big Sean, Russ, Drake. Like, obviously, when it comes to Drake, a lot of people be like, oh, he acts like a gangster, but come on, man. Like, yeah, y'all know Aubrey. Y'all know Aubrey he ain't out here sliding on nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, never went to prison. I don't even think Drake has a mugshot. Does Drake even have a mugshot? Let me see. Drake, because all these gangster rappers need a mugshot. I think if you don't have a mugshot, your effectiveness as a gangster rapper goes down by like 70%. Let me see. Drake mug shot. Drake doesn't even have a mugshot. It's like some fabricated stuff. Y'all want to see the mugshot that he has? This is the only mugshot I can find. Toronto police. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that was a whole photo shoot with the OVO stand-em, this is not real. I don't know why in the world he has this. It's funny though. Like at the end of the day, Drake doesn't have an actual mugshot, and there's a reason for that. Like, if you want certain dollars as far as sponsorships, it seems like a mugshot is a necessity as a gangster rapper. Have y'all seen Lil Baby's mugshots? Oh, they be hitting like that. You know what I'm saying? They be hitting like...
But then, I was like, damn, look at the state of hip-hop. Like, what's going on?
Let me see. This is probably why Lil Baby was 150 million as far as being the most profitable artist. Let me see. Is this his mugshot? This look kind of crazy. That's actually his mugshot. Dang, this boy look like he did it. I ain't gonna cap to you, bro. Look at this right here. Nah, this mugshot look like he did it. Whatever he was accused with, he probably did that stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you. Goodness gracious.
You guys. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the face of a man who did it. You looking at that like, hey, bro, I did it, and so what? Do something about it.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
So anyways, that's probably why Lil Baby's gangster career is so effective. But at the end of the day, my favorite type of rap is obviously the rappers who talk about their life in the music, but it doesn't, coincide with killing people and stuff like that. It's all about introspection, evolution, stuff that gangster rappers, as far as the brain cells, it doesn't really compute. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel about Young Thug snitching. I could care less. But that's why I dived into the Lil Baby deal, because I think that's the more interesting details that came out of this. I was not going to cover this at all until I heard Young Thug talk about Lil Baby's deal, and he actually gave a cosign and solidified what the rumor reports of. So now I had to dive back into what I was previously talking about in the past and bring up those numbers again, because it seems like Young Thug is making the correlation. Anyways.
Wham tell this nigga, nah, I'm cool. I gotta bring Pete to me. Man, that nigga went straight around Wham and called Pete and bought the whole label from Pete.
And you know what's funny? Young Thug's not even under QC, which makes me think that this whole interrogation was just a little prep time. You know how you're in the gym getting some shots up before the actual game? This interrogation room was just the warm-up until he had the pillow talk with Mariah, the scientist, and whenever this came out, and basically let her know what was going on behind the scenes, was really snitching for the love of the game.
He's been so good today. He really has. You have been a perfect gentleman.
So with that being said, after covering The Perfect Gentleman, I just want to let y'all know, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Young Thug and him ultimately revealing a lot of things in the hip hop game and just the music industry in general, as far as all of the smoke and mirrors that's going on? And at the end of the day, if you care about it, do you think Young Thug snitched or not?